Hey, this is Marie, Whirledpeas Knits, episode 69. Let's jump right in and get started with all of the crochet and knitting makes that I have this week. The first thing that I have is this midnight beach top that I wanted to make. I saw it on the Canadian Crocheter on her YouTube channel back in, I think, March. She had like a makes video where she made it. And I had to try it, right? And I ended up using just stuff that I had in my stash to use like scraps and things just so that I could, test out the pattern and see if I wanted to make it a second time in all matching yarn or anything like that. So I used Softly Baby Mint Green for the body of it. And then I used Favorite in one of the grays. And I don't quite know which gray I used, but I have several of the grays. I wrote down in my notes that the label is broken, so I don't know what which gray that I used, but I used one of the medium gray, that Ice Yarns has in Favorite. And then in Softly Baby, I used a pink, a light pink, and then a light salmon for the granny area. And then in the front for that area as well, I used just some scraps of that Softly Baby. And then for the tassels, I used the Softly Baby. So I love how it turned out. It's a little warm. I have myself, photographed, and I'll put that here wearing it. But it's a little warm to put on right now because it is worsted weight, but I love how it turned out. The only modifications that I made were the arms. The arms were longish, like in the photo, and I decided to make short sleeve. And then you could make these even longer, longer than that. That was like 3/4. And I also decided to pick up and knit the ribbing. I think she calls herself the Canadian Crocheter, but anyway, on her channel, I had seen her pick up and knit, and that was a great idea because I really love how it turned out, the knit, the ribbing. And then I did the knit ribbing across the bottom. I also made it, instead of not putting a split hem, I put a split hem on the bottom because I have an end right there I need to weave in. But I like the split hem so that it's more like, kind of like a, I don't know, like a tunic instead of, how sometimes when you have no split hem at the bottom, it kind of balloons up and kind of looks like a roll at the bottom. I'm not into that really. So I went ahead and did that split hem. And in the back, I had, I just was using what I had. I used 4 skeins of the mint green for the size that I made. And I basically held it up until I thought it would fit me while I was making it. I didn't use a specific size in her pattern. Because in the front, you just keep going kind of back and forth and then around like this. And then when it seemed like it was good to seam at the sides, like that it would go to my sides, then I went ahead and called it good. And then I made the back the same size as the front, the same length across, and then seamed it up. So, and then added the sleeves. So I kind of didn't really follow a specific size in there. I just made it so that it would fit me. It's large. It's a little bit oversized. And then the sleeves are pretty oversized as well. But I really love how it turned out. It is so cute. And I definitely think I'll get lots of wear. I'm going to go ahead and wear it like with a long sleeve shirt or a turtleneck or whatever I want underneath it in the winter. Or I can wear it, in the spring or in the fall with just a tank top on underneath it. So I love how it turned out. It was a super fun make. I definitely would try to make it again. Yeah. And maybe some colors that I, specifically picked out for it and everything like that. So I do love how it turned out. It was such a fun make. And I feel like I made it in about a week or so. It was pretty quick. Alrighty, and then when I just wanted to mention the size crochet hook I used was a size H. That was with my worsted yarn. And then I used a size 8 knitting needles when I was going to go ahead and pick up for the ribbing, and then the ribbing on the arms. So on the arms I used DPN size 8, and then across the bottom I used a 24-inch circular, and I just picked up, you know, and then knit, and I knit my ribbing, you know, on that 24-inch circular on the front. Then when I finished the front, I bound it off, and then I did the back. So yeah, I love how it turned out. It was so fun. I definitely would make it again, for sure. So I'll link down below all of the yarns that I use in case you're interested. And I felt like, let me pick it up again. I felt like that in the back, when I was using just what I had, the whole front is the green except for the ribbing at the bottom. But in the back, I didn't quite have enough. So I just started with the gray, right? Just to, and then that's how I decided to do it, just so I could use what I had, right? Because I don't always want to go out and get, you know, new yarn for a project. So anyway, okay, so the next thing that I have is a knit item, and it's something I've been wanting to make for a while. It's called the Sophie scarf by Petite Knits, and I used a size 6 needle, and I used Homespun House Amethyst and her plump merino fingering, which this is what it is. It's just a sock weight yarn that I had left over. And then I used Lolo Did It's mohair Kiss a Wookie, which is yarn that I had left over in mohair from another project. And it has a nice halo, and I held them both together. So I did one strand of each, and this is what this is how it turned out. So it's super easy to make, really fun. I love it. And it's so nice. It has this nice little halo on it. Let's see. There we go. And you can use this for a hair tie. You can tie it around your neck as a little scarf, which is what I believe it was intended for. So it can just be a scarf, just like this. It's so cute. You can tie it on a basket, like I've seen people, you know, tying them on baskets, making them for their hair. You can tie them as a belt. You could use it. Let me see if I'm not sure if I should put a bow on it. Like that, on a basket. It's just so cute on a bag, you know, a handbag or something. So these can be used for so many different things. And I believe I did modify the pattern. I didn't make it quite as wide. I kind of wanted to make it the size of another little scarf I had from the I think it's called the Little Scarf Project. I was trying to make it about the same size as a scarf I had from there that I really like. So I kind of just gauged the width and the length off of that. So I love how it turned out. I definitely am making another one. I have another one in my whips. I'll show you at the end when I show you my works in progress. So I love how that turned out, so cute. All right, so the next thing that I have is a pair of Crunkled socks. Let's see. I used this yarn right here, and this is what I had left. I got this yarn when I was shopping. I'm sorry, I'm reading my notes. I got this yarn when I was shopping with my sister and brother-in-law in a little knitting shop called the Pearls of Joy in California. It's really cute. It's I used a size 2.75 millimeter needle, and I just used double pointed needles. And here's how they turned out. And so sometimes with hand-dyed yarns, which this was color number 1035. And sometimes when you get a hand-dyed yarn, part of the skein is darker than the other part, and so it's lighter and darker. So sometimes you'll have a sock like this that is darker than the other one, and that's what happens. Is a variation that happens with hand-dyed sock yarn. So I do love how they turned out. They're so cute, and they're really stretchy. And so let's see, so there is the pattern. So that's the Crunkled Socks pattern by Kay Jones. I cast on 64. I just did a standard size, but I do love how they turned out. And even though one is a little darker than the other, I don't mind it one bit. They're so fun. So that is that. Okay, and the next thing that I have, I have another pair of socks I'm going to show you a little bit later on. So I'm going to take those off. Okay, so the next thing that I have on my list is a phone charm, because I can't stop making these. I don't know what my problem is. But I used pineapple yarns. When I have there's some of it left over back here. Basically, I used this and this. And I decided to make this phone charm with granny squares that I crocheted. And I love how it turned out. It's super cute. The yarn color it's Pineapple Yarns. Now, Pineapple Yarns is a hand dyer, and they dyed this yarn. And I think they're out of business now. I don't think that they're dyeing anymore. I could be wrong. I'm not sure. I just feel like that's what I recall. The DK weight is Lanai. Saturn, which is the bright yellow. And then Coastal Strawberry is the bright, bright pink. Her colors are so beautiful and vibrant. I believe that she was dyeing out of Hawaii originally, and then I think she moved to the States. Anyway, and then I put just a bunch of little tassels, like I crocheted a little tassel to hang off of there, and then I had some daisies, little daisies from the fabric store. And then I had some little ribbons that I tied on it. So I love how it turned out. It's so cute. They're so fun. And then, you can just stick it inside of your purse or your bag or your backpack. And then just, where your phone is at all times. Sometimes I'll just put it over my shoulder, or you can wear it crossbody, just if you just want to carry your phone like that. I used a size H 5mm to crochet the squares, and then I just crocheted around the edge. Super fun to make. All right, so the next thing that I have a work in progress to share with you. Now, I have made several of these Saturday shrugs now, and I decided to start another one. This is just one of my works in progress. Oh my gosh. And I cast on 164. And I used Ice Yarns worsted. I used the Softly Baby, the baby green. I used Favorite dark gray, and then I used some Plucky Knitter worsted. So this is the Ice Yarns baby green, and then the dark gray, and then the hand-dyed looking one is the Plucky Knitter worsted. So I really love how it's turning out. I, for some reason, started this up and then put it aside and started working on all these other things. So I will get back to it and get it finished. But I do love it. It's super cozy. I love it. It just feels so nice. I'll definitely link all the yarns that I've used below. I'll at least write, where they came from in case you're looking for them. But I love how it turned out so far. So, okay, so next I have, I have a tutorial that I was working on. I made a tutorial between the last Makes video and this Makes video. And I decided that back in the day, a long time ago, I originally went to this gift shop in the Lava Beds National Monument. It was like outside of the National Monument. I was driving to, this was many, many years ago. I was driving to a little grocery store to get some breakfast items or something. And when I was at the little grocery store, I saw these 10-point hot pads. I saw one just for sale in the little shop. And so I figured it was like, and so many years ago, I made one from one that I saw. And I just love them. And I just ran across one recently and decided, you know what, I should crochet a couple of those and then just share them with you guys on here, like how you make them, because they're such a neat pattern. And so this is the one that I made a tutorial for. And I'll link the tutorial up above. And I just go through step by step how to make it and it's crochet. And they're so fun to make. Like, they take a little bit of time to get set up, but then I definitely just got hooked on making them. So I made this one, and I'll link all of the yarns that I use down below, or I'll list them all down below. But this one I used a size G hook, just used cotton that was in my stash. I don't think I listed this one in my notes, what yarns I used, but I definitely listed them in the tutorial, and I'll list them down below. So I love how this one turned out. It's so cute. Before I made this one, I made 3 other samples because I got hooked on them. I just went down a rabbit hole and started making them. And so I believe the first one that I made was this one. And this one I used Deep Teal 315, and I love this cotton. And then I used color number 100 Bright Citrus. And I made this little guy. And this guy, I didn't put an extra edging on him. I just made him just a little bit smaller. And on the tutorial, I show how to make it with this, and I did an extra edging to make it a little bit larger to handle like a larger pot. And I used 100% cotton. I used a size G hook. And I love how this one turned out. This one's so cute. I made another one that I used the Deep Teal color 315, Bright Citrus color 100, and then I used 340 Brights. And these are all in I Love This Cotton that I just had in my stash. So this is another one that I made. They're just so fun to make. And then I made another one. So this one I used Crafter's Secret, and I used color number 14 Spa Blue colorway, and then I used color number 32 Lavender, and I used a size G hook for this one. And none of these 3 other ones that I made did I put an extra row around the edge. I just put it on this one to make it a little bit larger, or just to show how you can make it larger. But I just put 1 row around the edge on these, and I love how they turned out. I mean, they're so much fun. I mean, once you go down the rabbit hole, you can make them for the holidays, you can make them 4th of July, you can make them Halloween colors, any color that you can find 100% cotton yarn in, you can make them. And you can make them with acrylic, and you could put, if you made them with acrylic, you can just like put cold items on them. You wouldn't want them to melt or anything. But if you were going to use like a hot pan to set it on there, or a casserole to set it on there on the table, you would want to use the 100% cotton. Anyway, so you could do it for every holiday. I actually have 2 other ones that are kind of crazy colored that I found. I'll get them and show them to you. They were for Christmas. I made them many years ago, and I recently found them. But they were to put little plants on. So we just use them to put poinsettias on. So these are the original ones that I found, and I thought I need to make a tutorial showing how to make those, because back in the day I used to make them all the time. So, and they're so cute, right? Oh my gosh. Anyway, these are smaller. They have less rows on them. You can definitely do whatever you like. You can make less rows. You can use different types of yarn. But these, of course, these were made with acrylic, and you would definitely just use them for like a plant or something like that, cold. Okay. And then the next thing that I have, okay, so then I went down the fingerless mitts rabbit hole. So I made, okay, so this pair I started last fall and I finished them. But these are with Candy Shop yarns in the frosted pumpkin colorway. And she's a hand dyer. I love this yarn. It has like orange and green and little specks of brown. It's so cute. I use the brown and the green as like complementary colors. So this is what I did. So let's see. So this one was her Candy Shop yarns, Frosty Pumpkin Cider colorway in the simple syrup base. And then I used Knit Pick Stroll Tweed in the brown colorway. And that's 26299. And I'll list these down below. And then Lolo did it in the Shamrock colorway. And it was on a little Lolo. And I made these fingerless mitts. I also have a tutorial video on how I make my fingerless mitts, and I'll link that down below. I'll try to link it up above. I don't know if it'll let me link 2 videos up above, but I'll link it down below for sure. But this is how they turned out. I love them. They're so cute. Oh my gosh. And they're such a nice like fall color. So I'll definitely get a lot of wear out of these. So I love how they turned out. The next thing that I have is another pair of socks that I made. And okay, I saw that Freckled Whimsy was going to be doing Wednesday sock club. So I decided to get the sock club, and I used the Wolfing Out colorway. And I love the colors that they dyed up. Let me go ahead and, well, this is what I had left of the skein and the mini skein that came with it. And let me go ahead and put them on my sock blockers. And Freckled Whimsy does such a great job with the colors that they use in their self-striping sock yarn. And on this pair, I decided that I had a heel, just a heel in the mini skein, and then I did the toe in the mini skein on the other sock. But I love how they turned out. They're so cute, and they're going to be so nice for this fall and, you know, the spooky time of year. I love them. They're just so nice. I love how they turned out. And it looks like I have enough yarn to possibly do a pair of fingerless mitts maybe, or something with the leftovers. Okay, and then the next thing that I have, okay, so then I got into the the Hobie yarn. I think I started these last fall, but I never finished them, and I found them in a WIP project bag. But I got a couple of skeins of this sock yarn from Hobie to try it out. This one has glitter in it, and it's a Halloween sock yarn. This one is color number 2, and I looked this morning on their website and they still have it for sale. So in case you're interested and you want some glitter sock yarn because you're going to make socks or fingerless mitts or something like that, whatever you'd like to make with sock yarn, it's still out there on the website. So, and I also ordered these little ghosty patches to put on them. So they are super blingy and super glittery, and I love how they turned out. They're so sparkly. I don't know if the sparkle is picking up, and I didn't make them match or anything, but I love them. Oh my gosh. Look at those little ghosts. It is just so cute. And the ghosts are glittery. I mean, it's everything. So I made these, and I also used my tutorial, or the way I make my fingerless mitts. I have a tutorial, and I'll link that down below. And I use that. I use 64 stitches to cast on with a DPN. I use a size 2, 2.75. needle, and I finished these up. And then I saw, then I couldn't stop with the fingerless mitts, you know, the Halloween fingerless mitts. I saw this in my stash, which is another color of the Hobie sock yarn for Halloween. And this is color number 3. And I wanted to see how this would knit up. And I made a pair of fingerless mitts in this color. And this set of fingerless mitts doesn't have a thumb hole in it. I decided not to put a thumb hole. Some of them I don't like to put thumb holes in. I'll just do them without, because I like to kind of slide them down if it's cold and just kind of wear like a longer sleeve thing. And I'm really tall, so I like these fingerless mitts so that when I have like a jacket or something and the sleeves are short, then I can have a fingerless mitt to keep my hands warm. So I love how they turned out. They're so cute. The video that I used on how I make my fingerless mitts, I used the same way that I make all of my fingerless mitts. And this set I didn't put the thumb hole in, and I just wanted to make them just like this. They're so cute. Okay, and the next thing that I have is a work in progress. I have actually 2 works in progress to share with you. And I have this crochet top. So I was watching another YouTuber. It's called the Castaway tunic. And she made it cropped, and it looks like an easy to make crochet top, and it's like it goes over the top of like a tank top or something like that. And she made it in cotton. She made it in like a cream cotton color, and I thought that is so nice. I just really wanted to try to make it. And let's see, it was called A Lovely Yarn, and she made one for her daughter. So I had some yarn in my stash that was cotton that I had gotten, and this is it. It is Cotton Supreme Waves by Universal Yarn, and that's what it looks like. And I had a few skeins of this, so I decided I was going to try the pattern out in this yarn. And this is how it's turning out. I love it. I used a size K hook, and I'm making it kind of like a looser. I don't know that it called for a K. Maybe it did. I think I might have changed the hook, but I'm making it a little bit looser so that it makes a drapey shirt, like an overshirt. And this is how it's turning out so far. Let me see. Hopefully it can focus on it. So basically you just make this lacy pattern, and then you just keep going. You make 2 big panels of it, kind of, and then you seam them up and you put some sleeves on it. It is super cute. I can't wait to see how it turns out. I'll definitely report back to you with it when I finish. I do love how it's working up. So I can go ahead and put a photo of the top here. This is what it looks like. And then it's cropped, though, the version I wanted to make. I don't know if you can see it with that glare. It seems like there might be a bit of a glare. But that's what it looks like. And it's super fun so far to make. And there's a couple different versions of it inside of here. One with longer stripes, more double crochet rows than that one in the photo. But there's a couple different versions where she said you can make it differently. So you'll pick when you see the pattern, you can pick. But it's very easy. I found that it has a chart also. I just went off of the chart. I decided that was easier for me than the written instructions on there, but I will check back in with you when I get it done. And then the last thing that I have is another work in progress to share with you. And it's another Sophie scarf. So it's another one of the scarves like I showed you earlier. I'm just using 2 strands of, see if I can, I'm using 2 strands of sock yarn that I had left over, and I'm holding them together, and they're both Homespun House. This is what they look like. And one of them, this one is the Footloose colorway, and I don't have the ball band for this one, but it is also one of her colorways. I'm using a size 6 needle, and I'm knitting it, and I'm loving how it's turning out. It's a little piece of toast. So cute. So I need to get back to this one so I can finish her up. That's everything. Thanks for joining me. I hope you found something that you want to make. Join me making fingerless mitts, or or maybe make one of these. I totally think you'll like it. If you can crochet the basics, I think you can do it. I mean, it's pretty easy, like just with single crochets. It's pretty easy. And chains. All right. See you next time. Bye. Thanks for joining me.